everybody to Macao News. This is the channel of the Macao News. We have very special guest today. We have our friend Kevin. We have our friend Ramon over there, the country boy. We have Mr. Ramos. And our cameraman behind the fucking phone. And me, Gustavo Fuentes, your presenter of tonight.
If I ask you which place is the gaming capital of the world and you think about Las Vegas, you'd be very wrong. The world's gaming capital, the very heart, the most important place for the casino industry is not in Nevada, but 6,000 kilometers away from the city known as Sin City. Of course, I'm referring to the old Portuguese colony, Macao. As most of you know, Macao is a small city located in the southwest China, just 60 kilometers away from Hong Kong and as well as its neighbor. It is ruled by China, but has a degree of autonomy under the model called One Country, Two Systems. Macao has its own customs, its own currency, and its own laws. To make an example, while in continental China it's impossible to access Google, YouTube, or Facebook, the Mackenzie are free of those restrictions.
But Macao also stands out because it's the world's most densely populated territory, with over 23,000 people per square kilometer. Macao also has become one of the wealthiest places on the earth, with just 33 square kilometers of land, which is 27 times less than Berlin or 18 times less than Madrid, and just about 700,000 inhabitants in 2019. Macao achieved a GDP of over $50,000 million that translates to $77,000 per capita. This makes Macao the wealthiest territory on Asia and the fourth wealthiest in the world, just behind Monaco, Liechtenstein, and Luxembourg.
Okay, we are talking about a place so special the Venetian authority has expanded on 65% in just a few decades. Yeah, over 65%. And it wasn't being done by conquering other nations or nothing like that. Macao is a place where every square meter counts and to grow. It's gaining space to see by expanding through artificial island, and Macao is also considered a very smart country until the end of the 20th century. In 1999, Macao adopted its new current of political and economic system, but in contrast to Hong Kong, whose people are now to likely being a part of China. Macanese people like being part of it. Half of the population was born there, while Hong Kongese people fight for their individual rights and receives a reparation in exchange. Macao's oldest side has been revered by Beijing, with less strict regulation.
From 1999 to 2019, Macao's GDP went from $6,500 million to $50,000 million. It crashes in over 4 times the annual revenue of Las Vegas. 3 of the 5 world biggest casinos are over there, and they receive over 40 million tourists every year. Well, its unemployment is the outstanding number of 0%. That's because the world economy is employed in industries focused on the gambling. The only other business over there are hotels, restaurants, transports, and luxury stores. Macao's government doesn't have public debt, but it has over $65,000 million in accumulated profits, which are their accumulated fiscal surpluses.
While everything about Macao sounds like a bed of roses, the downside economic disaster that coronavirus pandemic unleashed over it, Macao's economy might be the world's most damaged one as of 2020. Its GDP dropped over 50%, by far the hardest drop in any country in the world. That's right, 50%. It's like a nuke though, right there finance. But how could this happen? Well, it all has to do with the casinos. While it has made the country rich, it has also made it extremely dependent. it is not by any means a diversified economy. As of 2019, the game industry was responsible for half of Macao's GDP, but considering the after-gambling Iberet business, the number might rise to the 60%.
%85% of the government's income comes from the casinos. That's almost 9 out of each 10 patacas. Patacas is the Macao's currency name. Come directly from that sector, so a pandemic that closed tourism and other non-essential economic activities hit the entertainment sector harder than almost any other. Macao lost 9% of tourists. There was a previous experience like the pandemic before, in 2015, when China prohibited its politicians to travel to Macao to gamble. Almost 10% of Macao's revenue vanished, but it really has no comparison to what happened due to COVID-19.
Macao and China are not planning to never let this happen again. Then plan they've got to prevent this is to make Macao not just the Las Vegas, but the Wall Street of Asia, a spot currently occupied by Hong Kong, with China will be very happy to hear from. The protests on Hong Kong have really benefited Macao because China is eager to create a competitor to Hong Kong's economic influence on the region, and Macao is happy to look aside to the abuse China has been recently perpetrating on Hong Kong.
Macao's tax regime is very lax, with low tax rates, which helps attract investors. And if China allows Macao to open its own stock exchange and corresponding financial district and industry, it could be the piece that fits the economic puzzle Macao is trying to solve. At 2016, an experiment was conducted, opening a private bond and Chinese public debt exchange. Besides, Macao local politicians have also presented plans to make Macao a sports palace, convention center, show center, professional services center, financial and banking center, top medical center, and even build top-quality universities to educate its own new diversified professionals. However, the challenge Macao faces is one of the toughest, and whether or not Macao can achieve its goals, the future years will tell surely what the fate rules over them.